You have ASL as well as Spanish, Mandarin interpretation, and captioning for people who require that. So first up, Charlize, if you could share just the slide for the COVID data, we can move through that quickly. Okay, so we have started to see a small bump up in August. There have actually been 12 people who have contracted COVID this month. You notice the number only went up by 6 because 6 of those 12 people are people who have had COVID previously. By placement type, mostly the increase that, well, so what we've seen is 26 people in host homes, 153 people in intermediate care facilities, 185 people in natural homes, 7 people in out-of-state placements, 62 people in residential habilitation, and 380 people in supported living. What we have seen is, you know, in some placements, a number of people contracting COVID. So the importance of keeping in mind all of the precautions that need to be taken should anyone contract it or be exposed. On the positive side, although there have been 12 people, we have not seen anyone who contracted COVID who has required hospitalization. The last time anyone was hospitalized related to COVID was in January. And we are still at, fortunately, we have had 38 people, mostly at the very beginning of the pandemic, who have had confirmed COVID-related deaths. We have 10 people who have recently died with a cause of death is pending, but those were people who had a bout with COVID much earlier, so it doesn't appear to be COVID-related. And there are 47 who are confirmed deaths that were not COVID-related. So we have a lot on our agenda today. There are presentations by 3 different organizations. First up, we have someone from Lenata Williams from DBH, who's going to do a brief presentation on the new 988 line. And then we're going to have a presentation on financial advocacy services provided by SEDEC DC. And lastly, a presentation by the DC Department of Insurance, Securities, and Banking on budgeting and credit. So I saw that Lenata is here, and I believe that, Charlize, do you have slides that you'll be presenting for Lenata?
Yeah.
Great. So as soon as your slides are up, the floor is all yours, Lenata, and you are on mute.
Are people able to hear what I'm saying now?
Now I hear you. Yep.
Okay, sorry about that. I tried to put my headphones on, but I couldn't hear myself. It's nice to be here, and on behalf of the Department of Behavioral Health, I just want to say thank you. On behalf of our director, Dr. Basran, we are so excited to be here. And my direct supervisor, Dr. Boozer, our chief crisis director. My name is Lenata Williams, and I'm the deputy director for Access Helpline and also the 988 Suicide Prevention Coordinator. We are very mindful that we are an inclusive community, and we are excited to understand and support DDS, and we've always been a very strong partner. So we're really excited and thankful for this opportunity to talk about our services. Can I have the next slide, please? I'm going to do a brief overview of 988, and this is, it couldn't have been a better opportunity. I have some exciting news that I'm going to share. We are 1 year into 988, but I think the 988 we're growing and we've had some leaps and bounds. But locally, for DC Access Helpline, I'm just going to just tell you all briefly that we are the crisis center mutually, along with 200 other crisis centers services. We are 24 hours, 7 days a week mental health crisis line. We are one of the easiest ways to connect to services, but there is no wrong door for connecting to services. So I'm going to just show you very quickly various ways that you can get access. Next slide, please. You can call Access Helpline, and you can also walk into your core service agency that could be in your neighborhood. It is as easy as scheduling an appointment. The next step is you complete an assessment, and then that provider has 30 days to complete this process. In the core service agency, sometimes it varies from service to service, but overall, the idea is to be inclusive and to be able to support anyone that has acute and or mental illnesses that they want to manage in a community-based setting. Next slide, please. Again, I'm in the Department of Behavioral Health. We serve as the Certified Crisis Center. So we have ported the 1-800 suicide hotline over to 988. The 1-800 number has sunset, but you can text or chat that number and it will connect you to 988. We have been in partnership with making sure that people understand over social media and reached over 7 million people annually, with understanding that these crisis services are connected with the broader band of nationwide services. The Lifeline service has been a free service, and we are excited that the 988 coalition and number has been certified to support the 1-800 suicide prevention crisis line. So all the services are only expanding and getting better, but 1-800 suicide, that number is going to start to sunset. Next slide, please. So I just wanted to show a timeline of what's been happening. We have been implementing this plan since 2021. So since the 988, we started with a grant. We established a work group. We were able to meet with other states. We are a part of a nationwide coalition that's just studying and understanding how we're going to move forward with 988. Within the past year, we've been able to implement the plan for 988. We've also had used other community members, a part of the coalition. So we have been live for a year since July 16th of 2022. And we are now successfully about to launch September the 1st, the first DDS, which is disaster services for Vibrant, but it also is going to have a component for the deaf and non-hearing community to be able to reach out via video phone, and also for TTY. So I'm going to talk about that and also show the number that you'll be able to get support. We also will have an LGBTQ plus exclusive supports and resources for the chat and text function, and we will be able to support Spanish speaking consumers on the chat and text function, which was not happening previously. So we have successfully, after a year, been a part of the 988 movement, and we are still waiting for geolocation to happen, and that is from the Federal Trade Commissions. However, we are very excited about where we are for 988 currently. Next slide, please. So just to level set, where we are now for DC, locally, September the 1st, we will be launching and be a part of the nationwide launch of video phones being offered 24 hours, 7 days a week. Will be a direct trained counselor. That's a 988 counselor who is fluent in American Sign Language. We also have had the 988 Coalition Committee that has had 3 different work groups. I just wanted to say to this group, we're open and we have seats. So please let me know if there's anyone that would like to participate. We meet bi-monthly. And we also have been supporting the Suicide Prevention Center, which is a community of practice, where we're also just learning about suicide prevention and coordination. And this will be the second year that we participated. So nationwide, we went live July the 16th of last year and started with the soft launch and have slowly been expanding services nationwide. Next slide, please. So again, I just wanted to make sure that we are really excited. This is some of the branding around 988. This is the new signage. September is the launch date for the Spanish chat and text line, the LGBTQ plus for chat and text resources, and also for if you are part of the hard of hearing or deaf community, there will be a person that's 24 hours, 7 days a week that you can use and reach out to for chat. Also, you can also use the TTY line and dial 711 and then 988. Next slide, please. So we know that exclusively nationwide, some of the numbers and some of the information that we've been able to have access to in cooperation with Vibrant is that the deaf and non-hearing community is about 3.6% of our population. In DC, we want to make sure that we're specializing, that we're reaching out. And one of the goals for DBH is to understand the deaf and non-hearing culture more, and also understand how we can support the mental health needs, how we can support acute crisis, and how our crisis line, and particularly in Access Helpline, how we can be a lot more exclusive. One of our goals is to understand what we need to support, and also have persons that are deaf or non-hearing that are working for our crisis line. So that's one of our goals, is to be more inclusive and to understand how we can always understand. We know that Gallaudet's in our backyard, and they have a great professional counselor program. So we want to make sure that we are either supporting, reaching out to get internships, or understanding how we can be more inclusive. So for 988, the 24-hour, 24/7 direct connection will be for a trained 988 counselor who is fluent in American Sign Language. Now, being also very sensitive to understand it, everyone's not fluent in American Sign Language. One of the expectations is not that we are just letting this be the minimum, but this is a start. So we are trying to build and understand that we know that the deaf culture is not monolithic, as are other cultures, but we're trying to start, and this is one of the ways that we nationally are being a part of a movement. So we are expecting within the first year, at least 40,000 calls that will happen on the video phone line, but we know that we want to anticipate the growth. So DC is looking to be a part of this nationwide conversation, and we're always open to support, feedback, suggestions, and comments. But we do understand that we are at a very low capacity, and we want to improve and get better. So that's why we're starting to have these conversations. Next slide, please. So one of the things is that the 988 Coalition meets bi-monthly. We are a committee of internal and external stakeholders. Part of this mission is that we want to have a pulse on crisis services for DC. One of the initiatives that we were able to partner with the Behavioral Health Council was to support the Taft Bridge. We understand and we know that barriers that are either fences or nets are effective preventing suicides. And we know that Johns Hopkins did a research study, and within that study, we understand that the decline of people that are either injured or die by suicide has decreased at least by 90% after the fences were constructed. So we have been doing a lot of advocacy, and one of the 988 advocacy roles was that we were a part of giving the signage and also providing data and support around getting one of the bridges, one of the nets. So there's a barrier for the Taft Bridge. And if you ever drive past the Taft Bridge, you will see a sign for 988. So that was a part of the Department of Transportation, Department of Behavioral Health, and also the 988 Coalition hosting that emergency meeting to give feedback on the signs. So we're excited, and we know that it's one of many bridges that are in DC, but we're excited to know that we want to have these conversations and move forward. Slide, please. So the future of 988 is that we want to make sure that people are understanding of there's someone that you can talk to, someone that will respond, and a place to go. Next slide, please. We are looking at 988 as a continuum of services. So when you call or chat 988, this is a workflow so that you can understand what happens on the phone call. This is not a workflow of the chat and text, but we want to make sure that when you reach out, the area code will ping and understand that you will get a local response according to your area code. You then can either press for one for the veteran crisis line, two for the Spanish network, and then be connected to a trained mental health professional. You'll hear a caller either for the whole of the music, and then the crisis caller will connect. For our deaf and non-hearing community, you are going to call on the TDY line 711 and then 988, and then a trained counselor that's fluent in American Sign Language will video chat you. Next slide, please. So this is a part of the mayor's initiative, which is a realignment of all crisis services for the Department of Behavioral Health. So we are increasing our staff. So we are expanding from 16 to 30. We are now co-located with 9 at the Office of Unified Communications, which is also known as the 911 Center. So we have a new 911 diversion program on the tail of understanding that different cultures and different communities are having a struggle sometimes when mental health providers are not involved and police are involved. So as a direct intervention, we are diverting those calls from 911 so that we have the appropriate response. So this initiative is so that we can have not automatically have a law enforcement respond to individuals that are in behavioral health crisis. We are also able, from Access Helpline, able to deploy crisis services. So we're co-located. If you know about 311, we're in the same center where 311 is. We're looking to enhance our substance misuse services and screenings. We also are looking to have those warm handoffs so that we can get a better understanding and getting people connected to their service provider if they already had a crisis service provider prior to, or if you're coming to us for the first time and have never had a service, we're also getting you connected. Can I have the next slide, please? So someone to respond, I spoke briefly about the mobile crisis team. Access Helpline is deploying that crisis team. That crisis team is 24 hours, 7 days a week. It responds to all 8 wards, and it is also supporting homeless outreach and also pre-arrest diversion and providing services. Next slide, please. Again, also we have facilities for crisis services. So if you have an acute mental health issue, we have crisis beds. We have 16 crisis beds. There are 24 hours, 7 days a week, a psychiatric receiving center. We are looking to expand those services and screenings. And we also are looking to move forward. We're creating stabilization centers and sobering centers where law enforcement can do a drop-off and there can be a medical clearance where people can get snacks, clean up, shower, and having a co-response model to peers going out with local MPD. So thank you so, no, it's actually okay. Thank you so much. I want to be mindful of other people's times. If there's any questions or any support, Andy, I'm available. I'm not sure if you're taking questions at this moment, but thank you so much for having the Department of Behavioral Health.
Thanks for sharing all that information, Lenata. And I don't see any questions yet in the chat, but we will certainly either, if you're able to stay for a little while in case they do come in, or we can always relay them and answer them later. I'm also going to remind people of the invitation to participate in the community group that advises on the 988 line, because I think that bringing in some of the expertise that some people here have may be very helpful. So if we don't see any so far, I see, is there any specific training that's provided to handle calls from people with intellectual or developmental disabilities?
You know, that's a very good question. I would say that we have done a lot of training around persons that are non-neurotypical, but I always think there's space for more. So I don't want to answer that question in a way that closes the conversation for us expanding and getting to know if there's any specific need, because I think that we are in the perfect situation that understanding what people need in their crisis is their hardest moment in their life. So whatever we can do, if there's anything specific around a certain topic, we're open to that, but we definitely are very trauma informed, and we've been trained and have a lot of training for clients that are not neurotypical, but we're always open.
Thank you. So next up, we have a presentation by a group that has been working a lot, I understand, with RSA, with doing education around financial advocacy. So Naji Fenwick with ZEDEC DC will be joining us now. I saw that Naji is here, so you can unmute yourself. And as Naji unmutes, because I did see Naji here, there was one more question, Lenata, which was, is the Access Helpline still available, or do people call 988?
Very good question. I was just about to chat that, Andy. So Access Helpline has 7 lines. So 988 is one of the 7 lines. So you are still able to call any of the 6 lines that we have advertised out in the community. However, the administrative function of the enrollments, the discharge, and the transfers will be going away when the MCO carve-out comes. So the Access Helpline will exclusively be a warm line where we are managing either crisis or non-crisis, and still providing quality services and resources for people. But that's a great question. We have 7 lines, 988 is one of those lines.
Thank you. Is Naji available? We do have, I did notice, I know our other presenter had a conflict until 12:30, but is here. So if Naji is not available right now, perhaps Savoy with Disby is prepared to go ahead and go next.
I'm prepared. Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can.
Perfect.
And I know we have a presentation. I don't know if you'll be sharing it or if Charlisa will, but
I'm assuming Charlisa will, because now I do. I have it now. I can see it. I see it. It's all here. There we go.
There we go.
All right.
Okay.
We good on the
So
screen?
Jay Savoy is with, as I said, the DC Department of Insurance, Securities, and Banking. And they also have been providing a lot of support for RSA, for people supported by RSA around banking, credit, budgeting. So, Jay?
Awesome sauce. Okay. So again, I am Jay Savoy, Community Outreach Specialist. I'm also a financial education trainer and a speaker. So this is going to be a super great treat for me to be able to present to you all. I haven't done Zoom presentations in a really long time, but I'm excited. So who we are is DSB. For those who don't know, DSB is a financial services regulator. So we regulate the banks, we regulate the insurance firms, and we regulate the securities firms in the district. So if you ever have any issues with any of those folks, we have a whole compliance department. So you can call us and someone will get to the bottom of your issue, or at least try to help point you in the direction. And this is for folks who are in DC. So if the institution is in DC, then we probably won't be able to help you with that, but we'll be able to point you to whom you can call to have those conversations. So what DSB does, we cultivate a regulatory environment that protects consumers, like I just discussed, and attracts and retains financial services. Essentially, we want to keep really great companies, really great financial institutions in the city, and make sure that they're doing right by the district residents, so that more competition comes and we have a thriving environment. More competition means more accountability. Less competition means some people get away with doing whatever they want to do. So we also provide financing for district small businesses, and that is through our DC BizCap program, and it's a collateral support program. So if any of you all are business owners, which is completely admirable, because business ownership is not for the faint of heart. If you're a business owner and would like some collateral support, we offer those resources as well. And then lastly, the role that I get to participate in is we empower and educate residents on financial matters. So all financial literacy and education programs come through our office as it relates to DSB. Cool. So our office in particular, we provide resources that promote financial equity and generational wealth. We partner with stakeholders like DDS to provide innovative financial education initiatives and safeguard the financial future of Washingtonians. We promote inclusiveness through resilience through financial education. Financial education is one of those things, just like any type other form of education, that serves to be more of a great equalizer. When people think about the great equalizer, they only think of education in terms of schooling, but it looks like that in terms of all types of education, because not everybody has the same type of intelligence. Not everybody is wise in every way. And so understanding that, one, knowledge shows up different ways, but two, we can include more people if we give them the skills to be more financially literate. And then access to resources for all residents. So things that we can't do, that our office does not do, we point people in the direction of the resources that they can access. And so that's a huge part of what my job is. So what we seek to do is we know that financial education is a key to financial empowerment and independence. And so that is a big part of the work that we're doing. And we do believe that every Washingtonian has a right to a fair shot, but through the financial education and the ability to make positive decisions. So I was talking fast because that's not the fun part. Other programs that we offer, meaning resources that you can access and utilize through our website. So you'll notice at the bottom of all the slides is our website and the email, the general email that you can access. And so all of these programs are listed on our website if you click on the financial empowerment button that's there. So our Bank on DC program, I'll talk about in a second. Our Earned Income Tax Credit campaign, Financially Fit DC, Opportunity Accounts program, and our Financial Empowerment Center, also known as the FEC. These are just the main programs that we offer. My role is to do presentations like this, as well as any other type of foundational literacy conversations are things that I facilitate as well. So I kind of fall within the Financially Fit DC part of things. So Bank on DC, as Andrew mentioned, one of the things that we do in our office, specifically with our Bank on DC program, is we make sure that people are banked. DC's underbanked. DC has a population of about 6% of the population who are underbanked or unbanked. And we know that when people are unbanked, they lose around $800 a year on average on check cashing services and other fees associated with not having a bank account. So we seek to make sure that folks have bank accounts, they have fair access to bank accounts, and we partner with financial institutions to make sure that you can get access to low and no cost fee bank accounts. And then if you've damaged a relationship with the bank, we also offer second chance account options through our Bank on DC program. So we kind of serve as a conduit. We are not a bank. We serve as the middle person to help folks get access to banks and to have more positive relationships with the banking community in DC. These are currently the banks that we partner with, and the list will continue to grow as the partnerships continue to develop. You'll notice there are some credit unions, there are some banks. So all of these people are folks that you can potentially, if you utilize our Bank on DC program, that you can partner with. If you would like more information about our Bank on DC program, the person of contact in our office is Jasmine Hicks. This information is on the screen, or you can go to bankondc.org and it will give you all the information that you need. And yes, I will be sharing this presentation with you all. That way you can just access these pieces of information. So our EITC marketing campaign is something that happens in the earlier part of the year during tax season or when the tax season kickoff happens, because there is money on the table for folks who qualify for the program. So federal and DC earned income tax credit, which is just money that is on the table for folks who fall within a certain tax range and income range. It is funded by DSB and it's operated by CAB, which is Capital Area Asset Builders. So they serviced about 6,300 taxpayers with over 8.7 million in federal dollars and local funds. So when you're going to utilize these services, IRS certified and trained tax preparers are people that are supporting you. It's free tax preparation sites all throughout the city. And some of them include community tax aid, UPO, and Catholic charities. So if those locations are near you or whoever's supporting you can access those spaces with you, these are options for you. And all of this information is also on our website. If you go to disb.dc.gov/EITC, you'll find the information that you need about that campaign. But again, this is the campaign that happens around tax season, so it's not as relevant currently, but it is something to put in your back pocket for later. And if you want to learn more about EITC and what it actually is, you can go to the IRS website for that information. So Financially Fit DC, we actually just had our Financially Fit DC workshops for webinars for the month yesterday and today. And so on Thursdays at close to the end of the month, maybe the last or the second to last week of every month, we do Financially Fit DC. And what that is we cover a financial topic that residents and district government employees have expressed interest in. And we 45-minute presentation, a Q&A session, just educating folks on that particular area. And so this month's conversation was about controlling debt. And so it was a really robust conversation. And if you already have a Financially Fit DC account, which is a virtual online tool, it is self-directed with financial assessment tools that you can engage in and pace yourself out. You don't have to wait. But on that platform, because once you sign up, it's completely free to you to use. On that platform, all of the webinars that we do are housed there. And so any of the replays, if you want to rewatch a session or revisit a topic, all of those are there. What's really cool is it helps users identify short-term needs and set like goals and more personalized financial goals around the things that they want. This tool is the one that is the most accessible out of all of the resources, in the sense that it is completely self-paced, self-managed. It's online. You can use it on your phones. It's the one that can go anywhere with you. And it's useful because if you have an area of understanding that you want to grow in, you go to the website. There's a whole list of resources by topic, and it also connects you to other DC resources that are specifically related to serving that particular purpose. So again, Financially Fit DC is its own virtual online platform, completely free to district government employees and district residents, and completely self-paced and allows you to explore all of the financial topics that you want to explore. Our focus is on budgeting, savings, banking, building wealth, and preparing yourself for home ownership. So as you can see, in planning for retirement, but that's more so a targeted initiative for our district government employees. But all of these content areas, which are things that you could potentially find on TikTok and all of the internet spaces where people talk about money. But the cool thing about Financially Fit DC is all those resources are vetted. So if you want to sign up for Financially Fit DC, again, it's completely free. You can just you can actually don't even need to put the welcome. You can go to financiallyfitdc.com and it'll take you straight there, and you'll be able to access that, sign up, and go back and play around with it all you want. Our Opportunity Accounts program. So our Opportunity Accounts program is our match savings program. It's administered by CAB, which are Capital Area Asset Builders. It's a 4-to-1 match savings program. So what that means is you save up $1,500, the program will match you $6,000. So that means you walk away with $7,500. In order for you to qualify for it, you have to fall within a certain income range. You have to have a job or be working some way, somehow, with evidence of that. And then you can use the funds for education, trade school, things like that, first-time home buying, renovations and repairs to your home, small business development, so helping you start a small business, or you can put it towards retirement if you fall within that range. Money management is a part of the process, so you have to go to money management and asset-specific training related to whatever you're going to use the funds for. So what's really cool about the program is it's not just one of those programs. It's like, here, take some money. It's here. This is some money that we've helped you develop the discipline of savings, but we're going to also give you some money so that you can actually apply that skill to places that you need it. I'm so sorry, a sensor in my building went off, and so now it's dark in the office. So hopefully it'll come back on soon. But these resources are things that you are going to utilize as you get that money, because most times when people get money and they don't know how to utilize it, they end up spending it in places that they didn't mean to spend it because they didn't know where it went in the first place. So it's a great program for folks who qualify and are able to access that. If you want more information about that program, Kamara Mabry would be the person that you would contact. And again, this information will be on the slide deck that you get, but I encourage you to take a picture of it. The Financial Empowerment Center, which is a great initiative in our office at the Financial Empowerment Center. It is located at the UPO PD Green Center on MLK Avenue in Southeast. So if you are near there, feel free to go in person. But sessions are confidential and can happen virtually. They can be on the phone and they can be in person. But they provide one-on-one financial counseling at no charge to all DC residents. Emphasis on the all. Conversations about banking access, credit improvement, debt reduction, and savings. So you have a slew of things that you can talk to them about, and they will be there to help you one-on-one. Oh no. Okay, there we go. Sorry. So what the client counselors will do is they'll schedule an appointment with you. They'll discuss your goals. They'll have you do some sort of financial assessment. And then from there, you'll set like concrete goals and come up with a strategy. And then they'll provide you ongoing support towards your goals. So in order to get access to that, these are the pieces of information you need. You can call that number, you can send an email, or you can come in during normal business hours. It is completely up to you how you access that resource. So can Andrew, I don't know how much time I have left. Could you give me a time check, please? Before I dive in.
I showed 10 more minutes.
Perfect.
12 minutes.
Thank you. Let me set my timer then. Let's go back. Bam, I got you. All
but
right.
I do have questions in the chat.
Oh,
FYI.
perfect. Perfect. Okay. Budgeting. And I'm going to spitfire through this. And the reason I'm going to spitfire, one, because it's recorded, but two, because I'm going to send you the slides. So a budget is more than just a series of numbers on paper. It is an embodiment of our values, former President Barack Obama. So when we're talking about budgeting, you're going to want to prioritize your spending. Think of the acronym NOW. Needs first, then your obligation, end with your wants. Needs and obligations should happen first, because that way you know that your spending is prioritized. I told some folks the other day that if you want to know what you care about, then tell them to look at your bank account. So your values, how you spend your money, is usually based on what you value. Of course, we value living, water, food, shelter, those are needs. And so our needs and obligations typically come first. Our wants should always take a back seat to the things that we absolutely need, but we should find a way to work those things in, even if it's not as frequently as we would like. So why create a budget? Because it helps you plan for the expenses that you have. A lot of people think if you have a little bit of money, you can't live off of budget. That's not true. Living off of little is even more of a reason to have a budget and to stick to it, because it allows you to dictate where your money goes versus somebody else telling you where your money goes. It also helps you be a little less anxious. When you know where your money is going, you have an understanding of like how much you can do without being stressed. It also gives you the opportunity to build assets, because if you don't have a budget, even if you have extra money, you wouldn't know where it is or how to spend it, because it'll probably leave your hands in your pocket before you even realize it's gone. I like to tell people, it's best to have a budget, because what will happen is if you don't tell your money where to go, it'll leave you and you won't know where it went. So make it a point for you to have control over your money, because it's yours, so that you can continue to build towards the things that you truly want, or assets that you might want to have or own. And budgets are not something that are only for people who have like affluence. People typically in affluence live off a budget and they live below their means. And it's because they learned how to live off of less. So gross income is total. That's before Uncle Sam gets his cut. And then net income is the total income minus any deductions. These are the types of deductions: federal income tax, Social Security, state and local. And these are specifically incomes that are coming in through either a job source or other forms of entrepreneurship. Expenses. When you're thinking about expenses, understand that fixed expenses don't change month to month. And I'm sure we all have things that we know are fixed in our budgets. And this could be something like your rent or mortgage. Flexible expenses often are things that might change. That's like your grocery budget might have to change a little bit every month, unless you set it to be fixed. I know I've done that many of times. It could also be something like car expenses or things that like I'm getting an oil change in 3 months. That's a part of my flex expense because it's going to happen 3 months from now. And it's also a quarterly payment versus a monthly thing. So it allows you to have control when you know what types of expenses you are working with. And also, I encourage you to shop for the best value when you're thinking about committing to anything. I know when it comes to like certain types of insurance, car insurance can be a little hectic, but if you know that, well, the car that I have or the access to the car that I have is not as frequent, I don't necessarily need the type of car insurance that I'm paying for because I don't drive a bunch. So keeping in mind, and I just use the car as because it's an easy example, but thinking about any types of insurance that you might have and the things that you actually utilize to get around, being sure you're looking for the best value for those commitments because you're committing your money to those spaces. So here are the steps that you take in order to budget. You track, you determine, you decrease, and increase. Track what you spend. No matter how little money or how much money or how great of money you have, track where your money is going. Why? Because it gives you the opportunity to see with your own eyes where things are going. Then you want to determine your monthly income and expenses. Even if you're having folks help you and support you with that, you want to put your eyes on that. Where does my money come from? Where does it go? Decrease. Find ways to lessen amount of monies that you're spending, especially if you're spending money on frivolous things. If you already live off a shoestring budget, then you're probably already really disciplined, and that's amazing. Then you don't have to focus on decreasing. You can focus on ways to increase. Like, I'm limited in what I can do. Let me figure out a way to increase my income in a way that uses my skills that I do have, the creativity I do have, so that I can make more money in my budget. So regardless of what your situation is and where you land, finding a way to increase your income doesn't always mean going to get a second job. Sometimes it means using the skills that you've already been gifted, things that are innate in you, to increase your income. Oops, wrong way. These two budgets are just a quick example budgets that I like to look at because I enjoy structuring. So but these two are just great ways to think about how you want your budget to line up. And here are the reasons. When it comes to understanding what you want to make sure you can live off of, if you can learn how to live off of 50 to 70% of your income, then you'll be in a good space, because living off that much allots for if something were to happen, you were to lose income, you were to harm yourself, things were to happen, and you have a shift in what you, even if it's temporary, you have a shift in what you have access to in terms of income coming in. Living off of 70% is usually a little easier to replace or a little easier to try to make up than when you live off 110% of your budget. So when we're talking about the budget options, these both are just examples that you can use, ways to think about how you should be splitting up your money. When it comes to expenses, that's everything that's an expense, both needs and wants and all the things. But then having 20% of your income go towards saving and paying off any debt, and then 10% going to charity, investments, or any type of college savings. Excuse me, if that's something you're working towards. And this is take home pay. This is not based on what Uncle Sam says you get paid. On your take home pay. And then the 50-30-20 rule is very similar. 20% in savings, 30% to live your life, and 50% to cover the basics. Savings, because I have 4 minutes left. Do not save what is left after spending, but spend what is left after saving. Mr. Warren Buffett is one of the wealthiest people that exists and one of the smartest investors out there. So you should listen to him. Maybe not me, maybe Warren Buffett. First concept is to pay yourself first. That means that out of everything that comes in, you make sure that you put something away for savings first. You make sure that you see your money first. It does something great for your brain, and it does something great for your budget, to be able to put money aside into a savings account first. That's it. I'm not going to dwell on that, but keep that concept. That you might disagree with me, but it is a concept that has been proven to be super effective in helping folks reach the goals that they have for themselves financially. And when you are saving, having a goal in mind makes this paying yourself first a little easier to accomplish. So tailor the goal, like tailor the savings to that goal. Having a savings account just allows you to put that money somewhere. And I suggest, if you are genuinely trying to save and you're aggressively saving, to put it in an account that you can't really touch, but you have access to. And like maybe you would have to go out of your way to access this account. and hopefully something that has a higher yield of return, because savings accounts in general limit your number of withdrawals. You just can't take out a bunch of money all the time. And so it helps you save because you can't touch that as much. You can't pull out as much. You can't even have less than a certain amount of money there. And it earns you some interest and it's insured. So it's going to work in your favor to have a savings account that is accumulating something instead of having a savings account that you occasionally transfer the money back over to your checking account. Excuse me. An emergency fund, kind of talked about this, any type of job loss, repairs, medical emergencies, home things that happen. You want to have emergency funds set aside because even if you have insurance, usually insurance has the deductibles. And regardless of what situation you're in, these types of things are useful to have just in case. Sometimes they're happy emergencies. Sometimes it's not anything tragic. Sometimes it's, well, I need to buy a plane ticket to go here with my friend, or I need to buy a train ticket to go here with my friend because we're celebrating this once in a lifetime thing. You want to be able to have the money to go and do the things that you want to do. And so whether that emergency savings is for a positive life emergency or a negative life emergency, you still want to have that money set aside instead of borrowing, because that's how we go into debt, because we borrow for emergencies. We should already have our own space to borrow from. Being able to borrow from yourself for the emergency instead of borrow from others is what comes in handy. And I'm not going to harp too much on saving for retirement, but if you have the option, utilizing your benefits and utilizing your employer to help in this process, utilizing whatever services they have and going through them, because typically there's a matching program. But if not, then utilizing individual retirement accounts that work in your favor. But again, for this type of thing, you want to talk to a financial planner or someone who offers that service. Credit, and when I say I'm gonna zip through this, I'm gonna zip through this. If you don't take good care of your credit, then your credit won't take good care of you. Credit is simply the ability to borrow money. It just means that somebody trusts you, the bank trusts you enough that you'll pay the money back. That's literally all it is. Credit is your level of trustworthiness with financial institutions. It says you can pay me back and you'll pay me back with interest. Why is it important? It's super convenient, especially in today's time. It's useful in times of emergency. It also allows you to pay for things over time, and it's useful when it comes to getting jobs, housing, and insurance. They do check your credit for those things. Not that it's necessarily fair that they do that, but they do. But some things to make sure that you're thinking about is, even though it's convenient, making sure not to use your credit instead of your debit. Make sure that you're using the money you have and your credit you're using wisely. Most people don't know how credit is broken down. Here's a quick little picture of it. A lot of people think that everything is payment history. No, it's a huge part. You do want to pay your credit bills on time. Anything that accumulates credit, you want to pay that on time. But the amount you owe, new credit, credit length, and credit mix are going to be huge parts of that. I have more than 2 slides, but we're going to stop after this one. To get your report, and that's something you definitely want to do. To get your free annual report, you go to annualcreditreport.com, and I've been told that you can view your report on a monthly to weekly basis, utilizing that website as well. But credit scores you typically have to pay for, and these are the 3 credit bureaus. But if you ever see anything that doesn't line up on your credit report, you can call and get that handled, or you can email people to get things settled. But you would reach out to the different agencies to dispute whatever you see on your credit report that doesn't align. I'm going to stop here and skip all the way to my contact information. So I'm going to pause here so that you can take a screenshot, because my timer went off. That means I'm done. But if you have any questions, I'm happy to try to address those in the chat really quickly.
So there were 2 questions here.
Okay.
One was, does DSB have a relationship with Able DC? Does there someone at DSB with expertise on Able accounts? And do you have information to share on Able accounts?
No, I do not have information to share on Able accounts, but I can get that information and get it to you if you send me the person who asked that question.
So DSB does have expertise on this.
Yes, there's someone in our office who does. I just am not the person who does. So there's someone who does that, who would have the answer to that. I just don't have the answer for you right now.
Thank you. Yeah, if you give me that contact person, we can make sure and share it with people. That'll
Absolutely.
be great. Also, someone had asked, some people with IDD and older caregivers struggle to navigate online resources. Is there anyone that they could call to help them use some of these resources you shared today?
Absolutely. So one of the things when it comes to Financially Fit DC, I'm pretty sure that has the accessibility features to it. So the read aloud opportunity and all of the other things that might support folks who have IDD. For my older folks, my more seasoned DC folks, I would say you could definitely call me. I'm happy to help. But if you want to go in person, if you're more comfortable talking to somebody on the phone, step by step by step, it might be a good idea to utilize the FEC for that, because they will be able to help you with not just Financially Fit DC, but all of the other resources that I was referring to. But I am happy to help as well. That's why my phone number is on the screen.
Well, thank you very much. This has been a lot of great information, Jay. Thanks for coming and sharing this
My
with us
pleasure.
today. So next up, I had sent a message to him and haven't heard back. I just want to see if Naji is able to unmute and share now. I see Naji.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
To be perfectly, transparent and candid, I was not aware that I was going to be asked to present at the meeting, but that's fine. Really, it only means that I don't have a presentation to share, with slides and stuff. But I can definitely speak to the work that we do at SEDEC DC. And I have a couple colleagues on the line as well, and they can also, jump in and elaborate on anything that I might happen to miss. So, SEDEC DC is a relatively new organization in the legal and advocacy space. About not even 10 years old, I don't think. I just joined this organization myself a few months ago, and coming back to DC. After law school, I took a job in Philadelphia, and I've been gone since 2016. So I'm definitely happy to come home and happy to be with this organization as well. SEDEC, the bread and butter of our work is debt collection defense, and so I guess it's the inroad of what happens to some consumers if considering the first two presentations, what happens if you mismanage your credit and your finances and stuff. You can find yourself facing debt collection, or also through means that we also help our clients with instances of identity theft and stuff like that. Often, people, find that they have unknown, debts on their credit report or are receiving notices of such. But, SEDEC in part came into being, recognizing that there was a lack of support, for, people in defending themselves against debt. And, people, lower incomes, minorities, people with disabilities, all, statistics show all, face debt collection at a higher rate, than their counterparts, in the majority. And so we also offer our services to people who are within 400% of the federal poverty guideline, which is typically much higher than most other legal aid organizations. Usually legal aid organizations and indigent legal service organizations cut off at 200%. But we recognize that people at 300% and 400% are also, typically very financially vulnerable. Just because you might be making enough to make ends meet doesn't mean you actually make enough to afford legal representation, because legal services are typically very expensive. And so that's that's where we come into play. Cases that involve mistaken identity, where it may be insufficient proof to the debt collectors, when the amount of the debt is wrong, when it's already paid, or instances where it's actually uncollectible, whether for statutory reasons, or some people are collection proof. For example, people who receive Social Security benefits, that isn't something that even with the judgment against you in court, that they can garnish, as well as there are statutes that protect even certain amounts of your own income from work. So we help people in all of these instances, and in somewhat related instances, that's about half of our work. And then a quarter of our work is community outreach and education and engagement, and a quarter of our work has to do with policy advocacy. For example, one of the big things that we've been working on and successful with in the recent past is getting changes to the clean hands law in DC, whereas previously a person who had unpaid traffic tickets or parking tickets could not renew their license or get a license or renew their registration or get a registration, and that has since been changed. So if you didn't know that, if your license is expired, or you don't have one, but you have some type of tickets or debt with the DMV, you can get a license now. But we're working on getting the same with professional licensing. Clean hands, as you may know, is a law that prevents people from getting professional licenses, business licenses, and permits if they owe the DC government just about any amount of money. I think it's anything over $100 or something like that, something nominal. People can't get licensed. So we're working on that right now, and things are looking pretty good in that regard. So so we do advocacy around matters related to debts and consumer protection, and we also do financial literacy support with our clients, and community outreach and educational workshops and things of that nature, to educate people on how credit works, and better ways to manage their finances as well. My particular role in the organization, I am the the point for the Disabilities Community Project, which is an effort, an initiative that we have to deliberately try to do outreach and make our services available to people in the disabilities community. So it's the same work generally, but just targeting that population, which typically is less likely to be able to receive or access services and on in any level, generally speaking, but but particularly legal services. So that's where I come in, and I can put my contact information in the chat, and if anyone has any questions, I welcome them. Or if any of my colleagues want to, I'm sorry, if any of my colleagues want to jump in, they can feel free to do so as well.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Maritza, and I'm the financial counselor at SEDEC DC. I also work with community outreach and the financial literacy presentations that we do. One of the presentations that we work on and is high demand is understanding your credit score, understanding your credit report. So that is a presentation that we have available for community members, etc. Because we only take low-income DC residents for now, we also have the capability to refer out. We have a partnership with a national organization called Working Credit, and we have funded a portal where they accept clients that are outside of DC or may not fit in terms of income. Najee said, in terms of financial counseling, we're not financial planners, we're not financial advisors, we don't offer any tax advice, but we do accept clients who are either looking to get information on how to continue their payment plan if that is something that the court has ordered. We also look into ways of helping with building credit for any job applications, for any apartments, any of that. And if you do need to pull any of your rental credit, that's something we can help with. And even if we can't help you with any services that you may need, we have a really strong network and a really strong referral system. So just feel free to reach out. Just to clarify on how our process works is you can get in touch with either our hotline, and we're happy to drop that information on there too. And our hotline number is 202-274-7386, or you can go to our website at www.zedecdc.org and submit a form. And one of our lovely intake specialists will contact you within 10 business days, and then they can assign you over to either my department in the financial counseling room or one of our lovely attorneys who can take care of your needs as well. So thank you for listening.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Stephen Jefferson, and I am the Community Outreach Coordinator at ZEDEC DC. So all the wonderful work that you heard from Najee and Maritza, it's my pleasure to bring it out to the community to help residents of DC, and also encourage and hopefully be a blessing to the residents in the city. So I'll drop my information in the chat. Again, I just want to reiterate one thing is that now we do have 2 offices, 2 locations that people can get help from. We're located at UDC David A. Clark Law School, which is at 4330 Connecticut Avenue. And now we open up a new location, a little over a month old, at 1100 New Jersey Avenue, Southeast. So if you do call, as Maritza said, 202-273-7386, please indicate what location is best, is convenient for you or for anybody else that you want to recommend. Like I said, 1100 New Jersey Avenue location is located near the Navy Yard. We're right next to the subway station, which is Navy Yard and National Ballpark, and we're right at the corner of M and New Jersey Avenue. Thank you for having us. If there are any questions, please drop it in the chat.
Great. Thank you very much to all 3 folks from ZEDEC. And I'll also note Mark Augusto put a note in the chat that ZEDEC DC also has Sin Deudas, Sin Dudas. It's a program that supports DC's Spanish-speaking residents.
And we definitely welcome referrals for our legal work.
And their contact information is here in the chat for both offices. Well, this has been a lot of really helpful resources we've heard about today. Any other PowerPoints, as always, will be on our website by Wednesday next week. And if we don't have any other questions from people, thank you very much for joining us. Thanks to our presenters for sharing some great information. And have a wonderful weekend, everyone. We'll talk with you again next month.